Well, I'm here with a legend, Dean Semler, like a master cinematographer. And Dean, I usually start these conversations by going back to the beginning. I like asking whoever I'm interviewing what your strongest memories of growing up in, your town of Renmark, Australia are. What are, fondest memories, strongest memories?
You know, Renmark, you said that word. Fabulous. You've done your research. Renmark it's a fabulous little town, maybe 6,000 people on the River Murray. It's a great River Murray. It's a fabulous river that provides irrigation for hundreds of thousands of acres of fruit, citrus, stone fruit, etc., plus wineries, lots of wineries there. I was lucky to be brought up there in the 50s.
Hmm.
I managed. I was given a camera when I was 14. I don't know why. Mum and Dad gave me this little camera which had a flash on it, and the most complicated thing about it was, and I was to learn more later, exposure,
Okay.
sun, sun or cloud.
Yeah.
That was it. That's all there was to it. And
Okay.
I enjoyed taking some pictures. And then I left school. I didn't do very well at school. I think the girlfriends got in the way a bit. And then I joined the railways. Dad said join the railways in Renmark. It was close to home, government job, and so I
A gig.
joined as a junior clerk, and that was going to be my life.
Hmm.
I applied for several positions through the local paper, the Advertiser paper in Adelaide, and for a chemist, for a disc jockey, for a props boy, etc. And I applied for Channel 9 that had just opened. It was Rupert Murdoch's first television channel in South Australia, Channel 9. And for some reason, I got called back for an interview. This little kid from Renmark. So I got on the bus and went to Adelaide and did an interview which lasted about a half an hour with the production manager. The studio was there. I'd never seen a studio. Goodness me. Lights and actors and singers, and it blew me away. It was like being on the moon, you know.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
went back to Renmark, and within a couple of weeks, I got a telegram saying, "Congratulations, you got the job." So reluctantly, well, I wasn't reluctant. I really wanted to do it, but Mum and Dad didn't want me so much to leave home. Dad thought I'd be working with a lot of artsy fartsy people, and
Mhm.
Mum just cried. That's why I was the last kid. So I went and I was a props boy. I became the channel had only been open for like 5 months, and I became a studio cameraman within about a year, just operating fairly steady, easy stuff. And then I was a floor manager for a while, then more studio camera. But I was keen to shoot film. I bought a little 8mm camera, and I used to watch the news cameramen come through the studio every afternoon with their 60mm cameras and rolls of film and light meters around their neck. I thought, wow, that's what I wanted to be. And I eventually got a job in the news department there when I think I was 19 or 20.
Wow. Pretty
And I
young.
found immediately I just loved telling stories on film, making up little stories, wide
Fantastic.
shots, close-ups, what's important, tell the story. And we had the art then because there was no money. It was very expensive to get the film processed, to buy the film. Well, it always is. And I mastered the art of fitting three news stories in one 100-foot roll of film,
Wow.
30 feet each. And you could tell I
Wow.
could edit in the camera, and it was great learning. And I loved it. It was such a wonderful training. I did that for a while. And then I got a job at the ABC as an assistant cameraman. An assistant cameraman being, you would think, a step down, but it wasn't, because the cameramen there were ex-BBC. They were
Wow.
lighting, they were doing documentaries and things. So I joined that for a couple of years, where I met my wife, the blonde bombshell from down under, and I'd only been there a short time, and I'd applied for a job in Sydney, and I got the job in Sydney which was the biggest television station in Australia. And
Wow.
I joined a stable of about 8 or 10 senior cameramen who'd been shooting film for a long time. And I was a kid, I was only like 23 or something. Um, but while I was shooting news in Adelaide, one of the biggest the things I remember most, there are lots of them, but one of them was shooting the Beatles concert, the
Wow.
real Beatles, the real Beatles. And
Wow.
Adelaide welcomed them with the largest gathering in any city, even more so than New York, of 380,000 people
Wow.
jammed. I'll send you a picture. Jammed in
Wow.
the streets of Adelaide, and I was in there amongst it, and we filmed their concert that night. It was mind blowing. But that was one of the highlights of my news days. In Sydney, I got to do a documentary all around the world, following Captain Cook's travels.
Hmm.
He discovered Australia, and we went. He sailed all around from London to Canada to Fiji to Tonga to New Hebrides to Tahiti, and we traced his steps. And I was shooting for the first time color, and I
Wow.
was only the young kid. I was the rookie, and they gave me the job for some reason. But it was a start. Then I did current affairs for a while, which I really enjoyed. Different stuff every day. You have no idea where you're going to be, what you're going to be doing. And then I joined Film Australia, which was the government film making place. And I had 9 of the most wonderful years of my life there,
Wow.
shooting everything from simple little documentaries. But one of the great things I love about it was that I could now shoot 35 mm film for the cinema, making cinema shorts.
Yeah.
Wow, big images. And
Yeah.
that just blew me away seeing my first film, which we shot in the outback. It was
Wow.
only about 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
But to see it on a big movie theater was fabulous. I used to go in once a week. I met the manager of the theater and said, I shot this. He said, come in any time and have a look. I said,
Wow. That's
but
so
on top
cool.
of that, my second favorite stuff there, I did lots of television work, documentaries, travel all over the world, travel all throughout Asia, all the Asian countries, through Paraguay, spent some months in Russia, which I loved.
Wow.
It was in the Soviet Union.
Yeah. Back then. Yeah.
In fact, I just watched yesterday a compilation of the 8 places we covered, stories in Russia from Siberia to Odessa. It was a wonderful experience all over Asia, pardon, all across Australia, of course, all the Pacific Islands.
Wow.
Uh, and that was from Australia. But my most memorable and favorite were ethnographic films with a man called Ian Dunlop, who was an internationally acclaimed ethnographic filmmaker. He'd
Hmm.
filmed with the last group of Australian Aborigines in the
Wow.
desert, the last group ever had contact with white man in the desert, called People of the Western Desert. And they were classic, simple, beautiful black and white films of the Aborigines.
I was sorry to cut you off, Dean. I was wanting to ask you, you've been telling me how you really wanted to do film growing up, but while you were growing up, were the movies a big part of your life? Did you go often to the movies?
Yes,
Like,
I did. You bet.
and
In
what?
Ren in Renmark, there were 2 theatres. There was the Roxy, which was the main theatre. My next door neighbour was the projectionist.
Okay.
And we used to go Saturday afternoons to see the movies, and series like Batman and things. But I think some of my favourites were the William Holden movies then. Picnic was my favourite. I fell in love with Kim Novak.
Oh, well,
Uh,
who wouldn't? Like,
I
right.
wrote her a letter and I actually got a reply, which was nice. And then there was another outdoor theatre, and it was by the river. Mosquitoes ate you alive. But I used to go regularly every week. And
Nice.
then when I was older, I'd be able to go Saturday nights as well. And I loved going to the movies. I didn't ever anticipate or imagine that I'd be working in the movies ever, until I got the job at Channel 9. Then I thought, I didn't know what a cinematographer was. No
Yeah.
idea.
All right. Maybe people think of a cinematographer, maybe thought, oh, somebody who takes pictures or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But when you think back to your childhood, like are there any particular images or colors or landscapes or lights that really have stayed with you all your life, you think?
Um, I loved the scope and the size of our. We were like semi-desert, I guess, out there. The river. I loved the river, the stillness, the beauty of the trees, the flow of the water. I loved where it stopped being the river and the green and became like desert. I liked all of that. I just loved being there. I'd sometimes walk out there and just to be on my own, take
Mm.
some little pictures. In fact, I did that a lot when I was shooting the Mad Max films in a place called 𝙭, which has an endless plain of rocky,
Wow.
just desert. And I'd go out there and walk as far as I could, but still see the car in the distance and just stand there and get recharged. So I liked the space.
Yeah.
I wasn't a city boy, I was a country boy,
Country.
basically.
Yeah.
I didn't ever get film lessons or photography lessons. I just, I've been lucky all the way along to learn from other people, learn from other assistants, from directors, from other cameramen who've passed information on to me and taught me over the years. I
Yeah.
was hungry for it, and it turned out.
Yeah. So what do you remember? I think you've already answered the question, but what is it that you remember the most about those early years, working your way up as a documentary filmmaker, what is it that, if you think about those days, really sticks out the most to you?
There were so many, so many, so many. There are so many. There are a zillion stories. Things like traveling with the King of Thailand and meeting President Marcos and filming the slums in cities and trouble in Argentina with gunfire and getting caught in a Christian stampede in Paraguay and lots of things. Like
Wow, it
a
sounds
single,
very
but
adventurous.
yeah, it was wonderful. And I was very adept at what I was doing. I didn't take an assistant most of the time. I had an NPR Claire 16mm camera,
Hmm.
which literally grew out of my body. It was there. And I had a wonderful lens which had a macro on it, and I could zoom, do little macro pull aperture. I could do it all without an assistant. I used to take 4 or 5 magazines with me, and as soon as I emptied one, had an opportunity, I'd reload it, so I was always ready. I looked at some films I had done with the Aborigines recently, and particularly with, I was going to say at Film Australia, some of the highlights were with the ethnographic filmmaker Ian Dunlop. And
Yeah.
I shot ceremonies up in New Guinea, in the highlands of New Guinea, where young boys were being initiated, little young kids being taken away from their mothers.
Wow.
It was the only place, Pietro, it's the only place I've ever been where there was no evidence of us. There were no t-shirts, no coffee, no tea, no spoons, no phones, no Coke, nothing.
No modern world. The modern
Purely,
world.
purely primitive, beautifully simple. And I was there for about 6 or 8 weeks, and it's stuff I'll never forget. That was very, very special. In fact, there are many times on a Hollywood big budget picture where it might be costing $20,000 an hour or whatever. And there's might be trouble on the set. There might be, problems. There might be arguments or whatever. Might be running out of time. Times like that, I really wish there were just the three of us back in New Guinea again. Pure, simple filmmaking, just purely simple. Am
With
I looking at you?
what's
My
that?
eye, am I looking at you now?
Yeah, you are. It's fine.
That's better, is it?
No, however, you feel,
I like
more
to look at you.
comfortable. It's all
I,
right. There's no, it's fine.
All right.
I was wondering if Australia, with Australia is such a powerful visual identity, the desert, the outback, the heat, the earthiness of the colors. I wonder if do you feel that the Australian in you and your Australian background shaped the way that you photograph movies later on, features?
No, I don't think so. No, no,
Okay.
I think every movie comes with its own story and its own location.
Okay.
Um, there's lots of very like world acclaimed cinematographers to come out of Australia. I could name a half a dozen. Several have won Oscars and many awards. And John Seale is one of them. He shot The Last Fury Road, which I
Yeah,
was
Mad
going.
Max. Yeah.
And he and I are old friends, but he was asked once, why is it that Australian cinematographers are so good? Maybe
They are
some.
very good. Yeah.
What he said was, mate, it must be something in the beer. He also said to me when I started shooting digitally in 2000 and something, I started
On
shooting digitally.
Apocalypto? Was that on Apocalypto?
It was the first one.
Oh, okay.
But Johnny Seal said to me as soon as I started using this camera, the Genesis camera from Panavision,
Yeah.
he said, mate, it's the beginning of the end of the cinematographer. And he
Mm,
was right. And that's another story we can get into later if you like.
yeah, of course. Yeah, I've got a question about all that. But so, do you remember how Mad Max 2 came to you? Like,
Yes, I do. I do.
especially since, if I'm not mistaken, you had not shot the first one.
No, I didn't shoot the first one.
Yeah,
No.
that's why I'm wondering how number 2 came to you. And
I
what
don't
was,
know why George chose to change from David. I forget that David, the other cameraman who shot the first one, who did a great job. But George and Byron, they wanted someone new, and I was working on a film in the country, um, and I had a call from his secretary saying I had a meeting to talk about Mad Max 2. I hadn't seen Mad Max 1. I thought, shit.
better get on it.
So I did, and I was obviously blown away by the movie and the energy, etc., etc. And I met with George and his partner Byron, and they weren't t-shirt and jeans guys. They were serious filmmakers. I met them. George had a little bow tie on, and we had a good meeting. I'm not normally good at meetings, but apparently they liked me, and I got a call a couple of weeks later to do Mad Max 2. So I pulled together a crew. I hadn't worked with any of them before, except the gaffer. I had my own gaffer, but it was a new camera assistant, Richard Merriman, who went on with me to shoot even up till about 8 years ago. We shot about 40 films together.
Wow.
It was the start of that. And it was a learning experience for me because I hadn't done action. I'd done a couple of little car bumps, but nothing like that, nothing like they
Yeah.
had. And I learned a lot from George, who was very generous in sharing, and he was also very brilliant in what he needed in the way of moments, tiny little moments. As David Lean once said, films are made up of moments. Well, George knew the moments. He knew on the screen whether the action had to be pushed to the left, pushed to the right, depending on the next cut.
Wow.
Uh, he knew he didn't want anyone to fight. He didn't want a cameraman who was going to fuss around saying the light's in the wrong direction or we're cloud, we can't shoot that, blah, blah, blah. He wanted someone who was take a few more risks, not only with light, but also not with your life. Looked very dangerous. A lot of that stuff to do, but it wasn't. He was very
Okay.
careful. He knew exactly what was safe and what wasn't. But he didn't want me fussing around saying, we can't shoot this, the sun's setting or something. As Byron, his partner, said, mate, if it's raining, you can still shoot in action like this. No one will know the bloody difference. And he was right. He was right.
Yeah.
So I
Uh,
learned a lot from him. I learned about the unsteadiness of the camera, about moving the camera, about shaking it. There was an instant where I was mounted on the front of the truck, in front of the vehicle. Mel was driving. Mel himself was driving the tanker. I was strapped in with a camera hanging on a bungee cord, aiming at Mel, who was driving, and he was about to be attacked. It was so rough, I couldn't hold the camera to my eye. My eye was cut. And so I just aimed it like this. And George said to me after we had no video split, he said, how was it? I said, I don't know, George. It was rough as cuts. I didn't see anything. As it turned out, he loved it so much that he added that sort of violent action, that violent movement into the shots, either side of it. So that was learning it, you know.
Awesome. I love that. This stuff is what I love hearing this stuff, you know. I could
Yeah.
hear you talk for hours, honestly. You know, I just love this. Um, so what are some of your recollection of Mel? Because back then he hadn't broken out in the United States yet.
No,
Uh,
he was about to.
it was
He,
about to,
yeah.
but so back then, what are some of your memories of him back then on Mad Max number
Well,
two?
you know, in Mad Max, he didn't have a hell of a lot of dramatic dialogue to do. He was the anti-hero, and
Yeah.
on both that and on the Thunderdome picture as well.
Yeah.
He had a little more on the Thunderdome picture with all the kids and the little midget guy. Sorry, midget, dwarf. I don't know what they call him.
Yeah, probably dwarfs. Probably.
And with the lovely Tina Turner, and she was a real trooper. She was, you know, in the Australian desert where it was over 100 degree, 110 dry, driving that crazy vehicle with
Oh,
stones and dust. She was a good one. But Mel kept himself to himself pretty well. He was young. He was
yeah.
newly married, had little kids, and uh, we didn't have big motorhomes and trailers then. There might have been a caravan or a tent, that's all. But
Was more like guerrilla filmmaking in a way.
well, gorilla plus a little.
Plus a little, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, did your approach change visually from Mad Max 2 to Thunderdome? I think
No,
no.
no.
Like George Miller did asked
He,
you to do something different visually
he
on 3.
knew the shots, he knew. And, you know, I had an input, of course, you know, and I'd suggest stuff that he'd like, but he would do these rough little storyboards, little sketches in the morning, and we'd look at, and I mean, I'd hit him with as many ideas as I wanted, and as usual, a lot of them are accepted, a lot of them aren't. You know, it's
Okay.
but George, what he liked was about the Aussie cruise was what he called a circle of grace
Hmm.
around the camera. He liked, you know, the DP, the grip, the focus puller, the sound guy, everyone who's close around the camera to just respect the other people. You know, when an actor's coming onto the set, he or she might be terrified. They're about to give a performance that's going to be there forever, and they might be like shit scared. I don't, you know, they're nervous. You have to be aware of the way other people feel, the way the wardrobe lady feels. And George liked the quietness and the harmony around the set. That's one thing I learned from him.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's very nice. Not that some people say that, some movie sets are not as harmonious or, but I think there's a lesson to be learned, as you said, from the George Miller way with everyone trying to really make it as harmonious and quiet as it can for everyone
Yeah,
to give their best.
yeah. Well, I've been lucky. I think I was born with a pretty good sense of humor, and I like to keep harmony and keep the humor going on the set. You know, where you can. You're not laughing all the time, of
Oh,
course, but
yeah.
just to keep a nice feeling around the place is important. And I don't yell at anybody. I don't scream at anybody, and hopefully nobody yells and screams at me.
So you started on dances in 1989. I think production
Yes,
was 1989.
yes,
And do you recall how the project made its way to you and what was the pitch like?
yes.
Did anybody pitch it to you?
What happened was I had the best agency in Hollywood, three great agents, Smith, Gosnell, Nicholson, and the script came to them, Dances with Wolves, and one of the agents said to me, I don't know, I can't because I had another offer of another major film with a well-established director at the same time.
Okay.
One of the agents said, "No, you don't want to do Kevin Costner. Kevin's an actor. He doesn't, he doesn't know how to direct. They're not going to pay you money, probably. You better do this other movie." And I told my wife, and she screamed. She went nuts because she'd read the script that was sent to me, and I sent to her. It was very long in those days. It was like 300 pages.
Yeah.
She read it in tears, and she literally screamed at me and said, "You get to that meeting." So I had to go and meet Kevin and Jim, which I did, and it was good. And they liked me, I liked them, and away we went. I don't know who shot the other film or how it went, but I bet it didn't do as good as Dances with Wolves did.
Yeah, I'll bet. But do you recall, Dean, what was the pitch like? Like, did Kevin show you something visual that he had in mind? What was the actual pitch like? Was it just talking?
Was just talking at the meeting.
Okay.
He had lots of ideas about. I really don't remember anything specific. It was just a nice chat about the story, about the cast, about the people. He was still thinking of locations. We hadn't discovered locations. We hadn't been to locations yet,
Okay.
but nothing specific. It was something he was very passionate. He was deeply passionate about. I could tell then he was seriously about making this film.
Yeah. Do you remember what your first impression of him as a person and as a professional, what it was like? Like, what was your first impression of him as a person and a
Of Kevin,
professional?
of
Yeah,
Kevin,
Kevin. Yeah.
well, I held him in awe because he was a major star.
Oh,
He'd
yeah.
just done, I think, Field of Dreams.
Yeah. Film.
Uh, in fact, that brings me to the point that the producer of Field of Dreams, called Chuck Gordon, who also did Canine with me. I shot Canine with
With
Jim
Jim
Belushi.
Belushi. Yeah.
And I think Chuck Gordon might have put the word into Kevin that I
Oh,
might have been a nice bloke to work with, So
yeah.
that may have had something to do with it. But Kevin was a major star at that stage, and so I held him in awe. Certainly, you do. You've got to respect that. And as a guy, he was just another guy, just another bloke.
Yeah.
Jim was the same. There were two guys with a passion about making this film, and they didn't give it the hard sell like they were selling boats or cars. We just talked about it.
Yeah.
And I got a call a little while later that they wanted me to do it. And Anne, my wife, jumped up and down for joy. She couldn't believe it. So she was happy. She was right.
As most women are right most of the time, I guess.
They are, yeah. Like I said, I had an ASC award that Angelina presented me with, the Lifetime Achievement Award. And I thanked my wife. I said she's always there with love and kindness and caring and understanding and advice. Like, "Dean, I don't think you should do the one in Poland. I think you should shoot the one in Hawaii." That sort of advice.
Yeah, that's good advice. Um, so Dances is a really majestic film visually, and my question is, but at the same time, it's also very intimate. It feels very intimate,
Yeah.
despite the majestic feeling of it.
Yes. Yes.
How did you and Kevin talk about balancing, the epic scale of the frontier with the emotional journey of this man, John Dunbar? Like, what?
Yeah. Well, we looked at Kevin initially thought it wouldn't need to be widescreen. It might be too much to be widescreen. It might be better if it's smaller because it is an intimate story. And
Yeah,
he wanted to maybe shoot at 185 instead of 230. We went to Universal Studios and looked at a screening of a current film that was anamorphic, big one. And I think he convinced himself then that that might be the way to go. We shot some tests, and it was obvious that it was about the land, about the sky,
yeah.
about the area, about the world that these people owned or lived in or loved. So that's where we went anamorphic. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Um, what, so Kevin was like directing himself for the first time. He was producing, he was acting, he was trying to protect the story as well. And so, from your point of view, what was he like on set during that experience? Like,
Well, I don't know how they do it. I've done two like that. One with Ed Harris, and that was with Kevin before on Dances with Wolves, obviously. He would come onto the set, and we had a wolf called Two Socks, right?
yeah,
Kevin was like two Kevins. There was like a Dunbar, and there was a Kevin. Uh, he would come on the set. We'd do a rehearsal with him. I'd set up stuff while they went into makeup. He would come out as Dunbar.
yeah,
We'd be at the monitor. He'd be Kevin. He'd go back. He'd be. So he was doing. And what impressed me more than anything was that of all the stuff we did every day over 120 days or whatever it was a long
yeah.
shoot.
I think it was around 120 from what I read.
Yeah. That and shot out of order, of course. Wasn't shot in sequence.
Yeah,
That I'd watch him every day on the monitor. I'd watch him through the lens. It's the last film I operated on, and it's I'd watch him through the lens, watch him on the monitor. And it was only when I saw the film screened initially, the first screening I saw, that I realized what an extraordinary job he had done as an actor, pulling off that story, that character, the emotion of Dunbar all the way through the film,
yeah,
as well as being worried about directing everybody. He was so generous, giving his time and experience and knowledge to the Native American actors who might not have had a lot of experience. And he gave them everything he could, everything he had, of his fear of running out of money. The completion guarantors wanted to pull a whole lot of scenes out. He said, no, I'm going to shoot the script the way it is. Producing it, starring in it, being the guy. It's a tough job. I don't know how the hell he did it. It was the same with Ed Harris on Appaloosa.
yeah,
He was Ed Harris, and then he was whatever his name was, Virgil, as a character. He'd come in as two people. It's a great job, and full marks to them. Directing is hard enough.
yeah. And when you're starring also and producing,
Uh,
it's just must be like crazy.
but that's where you got to wrap yourself around as a crew. You got to wrap yourself around the director and give him everything he asks for. Mhm.
Yeah. Do you feel that with Kevin, did you find that he had a strong visual sense when he was in front of the camera rather than behind it,
Very
and
much.
a sense of where the camera should be?
Yeah, he knew exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
But he also liked running a second camera. Um, if the main camera was me operating, he'd have a second camera on a close shot of him. That's what the people want to see. So
Okay.
there was a lot of that. He was great with the Native Americans with the safety, like particularly with the
The Buffalo Hunt.
buffalo hunt. That was something extraordinary. And
Yeah.
as he said it was something that hadn't been done for over 100 years. He wanted to do it,
Yeah.
and he did.
Is there a particular day on Dances with Wolves that like still comes back to you? Like a sunset, like a particular, a problem that guys solved, something that you and Kevin talked about, something that felt magical in that moment. I don't know.
Boy, there's so many. There's one image when Kevin is leaving the little town
Yeah.
on the wagon with Sedgwick. Who was the guy? It was,
Simmons, Timmons.
Simmons. Yeah, when
Yeah.
he was leaving the town with Simmons, and he's in the wagon with him driving, and we're with them, and you see the town receding behind, and you hear the gunshot,
Oh, yeah. The guy shot himself,
and
suicide.
he just drives forward, and it's a big shot, but it's a very powerful moment too when you hear that gunshot.
It is.
Kevin wondering what the hell he's in for, where he's going, was wonderful. That was one. There's another one where he arrives at the top of the ridge with the woman Stands with a fist,
Dance with a Fist.
with Mary, where he arrives carrying her, and he stops, and you see the village for the first time in
Oh,
the back.
beautiful. Yeah.
Spectacular. There's
Spectacular.
some wonderful images with the Pawnee arriving too, of their first arrival. Some classic widescreen, beautiful images of the group riding, crossing the river. Lots of them, lots of them.
Um,
Also, images of the faces,
yeah,
just
beautiful.
Native American faces.
Very beautiful.
Graham was funny. Graham Greene was wonderful. Uh, there was a moment where he was sitting in his chair with Graham Greene on the back,
Yeah.
overlooking the village. He was up on a little cliff overlooking the village, and it was late afternoon. It was autumn. All the trees were golden, and he was sitting there. The wind was slightly blowing his fabulous headdress, and I had to ask him something about a scene. And I thought, oh shit, he's in character. I don't want to disturb him. But I had to. So I walked up and I said, oh, Graham. He turned around and he said, hey, buddy, did you hear the one about the farmer on the night? I said, oh, no. He told me a joke. And but he was terrific. Sadly, we lost him a
Yeah.
little while ago. But
Yeah. It was sad, really.
another great performance from him, goodness me. And the way they learnt the Lakota language
Oh, yeah.
from dear old.
Brilliant. Honestly, very brilliant.
Yeah.
You were mentioning the buffalo hunt earlier, and that's one of the greatest sequences in modern cinema, honestly. What do you remember about the challenge of filming that? And did you know while shooting it that you were creating something that was going to be extraordinary?
No, we knew it was going to be good, but well, we didn't. We didn't know what these buffalo were going to do. You know, there were 3,500. They make up their own minds where they want to go. There were pickup trucks trying to round them up. Jim Wilson was in the helicopter, following them around and pushing them forward. And in fact, one of the first things Jim heard on the radio was, he's down. And Kevin had come off his horse. You know about that. And the stunt guy, Norman Howard, rushed in, but Kevin got back on again. But that's another one of those shots that I remember. We're talking about nice shots. Was I was on a crane as he rode up, and he rode up past the camera. His hat blew off in the wind, and he
Yeah.
rode past, and that was a great shot with him and the buffalo,
Yeah.
and the mobs of buffalo behind him. We just made sure we were safe with all the cameras. We had, I think, about 8 or 9 cameras hidden behind vehicles, in between vehicles, so they were safe.
Yeah.
Uh, although the buffalo are crazy, they can knock a car over just like that. And I also had what's called a Ned Kelly, a little camera that you bury in the ground
Oh,
that the buffalo can run over. Hopefully, we put it in a spot where they were going to do that. How did we know? But we managed to get several good shots with them jumping over this camera.
yeah. I remember those shots, like in the movie, and they're like
And
jumping.
yeah, more than anything, it was the sound, just the massive sound of these hooves, the guttural sound of the squeals and the screams, the high-pitched yells from the Native Americans. It
Yeah.
was totally wraparound, using a word that's used too often, awesome. It was really unbelievable
Yeah.
and something I'll never experience again. And there were
Uh,
lots of other days where we did stuff for the Steadicam and different mounts, but the big hunt, that big day was truly something unbelievable.
uh,
I had a call from 𝙈𝙖 Smith, producer of City Slickers,
yeah.
before Dances with Wolves had been released, but it had been nominated.
Okay.
And 𝙈𝙖 Smith rang and he said, Dina, he said, we got this film City Slickers and I've got 100 cattle that are going to stampede. What do you think? I said, I think I can handle it.
For sure, right? Wow. You just handle like 300 buffaloes, so you could handle like 300.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
It's funny, most people, I never had any negative critics about that film. Everyone loved it. There was one guy in the Outback who had a problem with it. And I was on this property way out in the middle of the desert, a sheep and cattle property, and the 3 sons had been out on their bikes riding up cattle late afternoon, and we sat on the veranda, we're having a beer. I was scouting a location, and the eldest son said to me, "Hey, you're the bloke we saw on television with that film Dancing on the Walls, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah." He said, "I got a bone to pick with you." I said, "What?" He said, "All those buffalo." He said, "They had ear tags on, didn't they? Didn't they?" I said, "Yes, they did." He said, "Yeah, I told you so. I told you." That was the Australian guy's critique on Dances with Wolves buffalo. I didn't ever see them. I didn't know. But he was the cattleman and he picked it and he knew. And that was the only negative I've ever had.
Okay. Well, that's funny though. I understand that dances were like a big family, like with Kevin inviting, crew members to bring along, their kids, their relatives on set. Your own daughter, Ingrid, was there as well. She was working on
Yes,
the movie.
yes.
And what are some of your fondest memories of, making the movie with your family being there?
It's just nice to have them there. Ingrid was one of the wranglers. She used to work for teach people horse riding in Sydney when we were there. So she knew animals, she knew horses. And one of the first days I rode in, she was I went into the animal area and she was in a fenced off corral area with this giant buffalo. I'd never seen a buffalo. Huge thing. His head was like 4 feet across.
Oh my God.
And Ingrid was there squirting him down with a hose. I said, "Ingrid, you shouldn't be in there. What are you doing with that?" She said, "Dad, this is Mammoth." He said, we've sort of become like friends. I said, like you're dating? Get out of there. She said, "No, no, he's trained. He's So that was, and she did work with him and looked at, and well, when I say worked with him, she cared for him. But to see her riding, in her boots and hat and the works with some of the best cowboys in Australia, in America, and she did a wonderful job as a wrangler until she came off and broke both her wrists.
Oh
Uh,
wow. Both of them?
yeah, she was coming back from. I'll send you a picture. She was coming back from the set, and we had, it was like a half a mile to the base camp.
Okay.
And she had one of the little Native American boys, smiles a lot, or one of them sitting in front of her,
Okay.
she was holding him, she was riding back carefully. The horse freaked for some reason and went nuts. She tried and she was good, but she couldn't control it. And the horse just kept going and the horse went mad. So she said, "Let's get off, let's bail." One, two, three. So they jumped off together. The horse went on and the wranglers got it. But she landed with her wrists
Oh,
on the ground, and the kid was okay. He just rolled around in the dirt a bit, but so she was out for a while. But and she said 6 months later she was still picking cactus out of her butt from that.
wow.
But it was good, and Annie was there most of the time. She came and went. She'd come to our daily screening at night, and they were truly wonderful because Kevin had invited everybody. Anybody who wanted to come to dailies could come. They provided food and drink, and
Wonderful.
just like family evenings. And he would play music because there's a lot of material, particularly on the buffalo and on the wolf, without sound. And you
Okay.
don't want to sit there watching half an
Yeah.
hour of the wolf. So he would play music from the classic Western themes like Lonesome Dove and
Oh wow.
wonderful music to cover at them. And they were very emotional, very nice times. We knew we were sort of onto something pretty good when we could see all that. I think he showed a cut at some stage just to let people know what he was thinking and where the film was going. I forget what the sequence was, but he cut a sequence and screened it, and people were teary. People had been crying. It was very emotional. It was beautiful.
Wow. Dean, I was wondering, I saw on the behind the scenes documentary on dances that you guys shot like tests for costumes and hair, makeup.
Yeah, yeah.
Was this like before principal photography
This is
started?
well before, well before.
All before, right? Okay.
First time we'd ever seen the actors, the major actors. There was Kevin. There was the other four or five major players in all of their different wardrobe. Kevin had four or five, six different looks,
Oh yeah, throughout the movie. Yeah.
and it was in a just in a concrete vacant store in Pierre in South Dakota. And I'd put a track in, and I'd lit it fairly carefully. Had a little wind machine to blow the feathers, to blow the hair, and
Yeah.
pushed. We did little dollies, push into their faces, made sure we could see the eyes, and it was really beautiful. It was nice. And when we saw it in our little theatre we'd set up in the hotel, it sort of said that we were onto something pretty good because people there were emotional. People were had wiping tears from their face when they saw this. Once again, Kevin played music over it.
Okay, over it.
Musically, Kevin had a feeling of. I remember him saying this: that a beautiful picture will sit on the wall, and it'll start sliding until you hit it with some music, and it'll keep it up there. So he was very much into the music.
Mm, wow. When dances became what it became, like culturally, critically, emotionally, what did it mean to you personally?
What it mean to me?
Yeah, on a personal level, yeah.
I was so proud of it, so incredibly proud. It wasn't a shoot that, the shoot was tough. It was tough for everybody, tougher for Kevin than anybody else, having all the things he had to do. We were all sick towards the end. We had pneumonia, walking pneumonia or something, coughing in it. But what was the question? Sorry, I got.
No, just what it meant to you when dances, when dances became so culturally,
I was,
critically
I was incredibly,
prominent and such.
I was incredibly proud of it, and uh, and all of my colleagues, all of my other camera colleagues, my crews, the neighbours, the people in Australia. I was on a flight to Sydney, and they made me take the Oscar throughout the plane to show everybody to take a picture with the captain, and
Wow.
it meant more to the Australian people than I ever expected it to. It was very important for them. The mayor gave us a civic reception in the town, and
Wow.
I mean, I went back there a hero. I thought, goodness me, I just won a trophy, but
Yeah.
it was very special. Jim rang me up. Jim Wilson rang me up at, I think it was Valentine's Day, and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning in Sydney. And the nominees had just been announced, and he rang me up to say we'd been nominated. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what, but then the ball started to roll. That there was the press and the thing and the travel and then there was the Hollywood time of, they sure know how to celebrate success in that town. It's like awards literally 3 or 4 nights a week and dinners and stuff, and they know how to do it. And
They know how to throw a party, right?
you what?
They know how to throw a party.
Oh yeah, they sure do. Yeah, and we were involved in that for 2 or 3 weeks prior to the Oscar.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
lots of interviews with radio, television, press, Australia, around the world, Italy. I don't know.
Italy as well.
I don't know.
After the Academy Awards ceremony, Kevin organized a private party. This what I'm, what I know is that he organized a party for, family, friends, and so what are some of your, fondest or funniest memories from that
It was a
party?
wonderful little party at a nice restaurant, and there were 7 of us with Oscars. I think seven, 6 or 7.
Yeah, the movie won
Seven. I think seven
seven.
of us with Oscars there, and the best champagne, and lots of laughs, lots of hugs, lots of kisses, lots of remember this, remember that, and I knew you would, and I'm sorry you didn't, and
Yeah.
all of that. It was a wonderful 2 or 3 hours there. Wonderful end to that night.
A few years later, after Dances, you worked with Kevin again on Waterworld, which
Yes.
was directed by Kevin Reynolds. Did KC personally like reach out to you to do it, or how did the project come to you?
It was strange as it sounds, it's true. It started in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
On Wyatt
And
Earp.
Kevin was shooting Wyatt Earp.
Okay.
And my wife Addie and I went there because we love Santa Fe. We just went there for a break.
Oh,
And
okay.
we dropped in to see Kevin, and there he was in gear, and there was Native Americans. It was deja vu.
Like,
And he then mentioned Waterworld, and that was it, basically. And
oh, okay.
it was it wasn't long after that I had a call from my agent that Mel's company wanted to talk to me about Braveheart. But I'd sort of had a moral obligation to Kevin because he talked about Waterworld. So off we went, Waterworld.
Yeah.
And boy, there's some stories there. Wow.
Yeah. How did the visual approach differ from Waterworld to dances? Like, what are,
Totally, totally different. Totally different.
yeah,
Yeah, we're all at sea. For a start, we're on the ocean, floating out on the ocean. But the producers, once again, Chuck and Larry Gordon, um, I spoke to them about the film. They sent me the script, and I said, this is like Mad Max on water. Have you seen Road Warrior lately?
basically, right?
They said, oh, we better have a look. And I said, look. And my thought was that, on land, action like that is controllable. The vehicles all drive off, and then in take two, they come back, and there's a little rock or a stone or a bush or a mark they can get in their opening positions. What do you do when you're at sea?
Crazy, uncontrollable.
So things are going to take a bit longer. We can only see that much. We can't see behind us because of land. Um, and then there's the wind, there's the currents, there's the tides, there's the sun.
Yeah.
It was complicated, but I know it was difficult for Kevin. They were fighting to get this thing done in the budget they had. And I know there was a meeting when Kevin's agent and the heads of Universal came down to talk about maybe cutting some of the action scenes out, but they didn't cut them out. They stayed in. Once again, Kevin, being as powerful as he was then, said, "I'm going to shoot everything," which he did. Um, it was problematic. I mean, it was hard to light him on the boat. There's nothing you can do. I mean, you're a bouncy little tarpaulin type of thing, like a net.
Okay.
A lot of steady cam work. Um, I couldn't use lights there a hell of a lot on the boat. I really couldn't. I had to use reflectors and
Mm.
cut the stuff with giant silks. But things had happened, like a wind had come up. We had a wind come up, blew us out of the water almost one day, and one of the grips had a piece of 2x4 pierce his leg, went right through his calf.
Oh,
Yo! Another occasion, we'd rehearsed, got ready. We went out to sea after lunch to do the scene, and there was a little girl jumping in the water, and then something happening. She was in the water swimming. So we're all ready to go. Our first scene, we were able to get her today because of weather and everything else. She jumped in the water and screamed. She was bitten by a jellyfish.
oh.
That was the end of the day, I think. We had to.
Would you say that this was the hardest shoot of your
No,
career? No?
it was difficult, yeah. But once again, it was the people that make it not nasty, not ugly. Everyone was good on the film. I mean, all the stunt guys and
Yeah.
the actors, and it was a good bunch of people again, and everybody wrapped around each other to help themselves out. And we knew it was difficult, difficult filming on that atoll, floating and bumping up and down with metal ridges and stuff everywhere. But
Yeah.
no, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was difficult, but differently difficult.
Okay.
It was one of those challenges. I'd shot Dead Calm
Oh, that
with
calm. Feel like
Nicole
noise.
also, and that was like a little baby introduction to Waterworld.
That's true.
But
Um,
Waterworld no matter what it was, it left a hell of a lot of money in Hawaii, $30 or $40 million it left there. It
Help the
finally
economy.
made it. Pardon?
Help the
Yeah,
economy there.
and it didn't sink. It finally floated and got its money back. And there are now a half a dozen Waterworld rides,
Yeah,
action
all over the world.
all around the world. So it's doing all right, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did, I've heard you say that George Miller visited you on the set of
he did.
Waterworld. Did
He
you
did.
guys like go, well, this is actually Road Warrior on water. Did you guys go like that, or what did you guys talk
I
about?
asked George because in those days you couldn't fly direct from Los Angeles to Sydney. You
Okay.
had to stop in Hawaii.
Oh,
And so George was coming back from Australia or going to Australia, stopping. I said, "Come and see us, George. We're just down the road. Come and have a look. We're shooting Waterworld." He said, "Sure, I'd love to." So he did. And he was given the utmost respect from everybody, from the producers and Kevin, etc. He was like a hero.
oh yeah, but
Um, and he enjoyed the shoot. We had dinner with him, and he obviously compared it to the road, one of the Mad Max films, and said, "Well, it's got to take a bit longer. It's on water." So
yeah. What do you make of Waterworld becoming so beloved in the years since it came out? Like when before it was released and after release, people were like pounding on the movie so unfairly, and but since then it's become like a beloved movie all over the world. Like if you go, around here, my in Italy, my country, people love this movie and
oh,
just they love it. It's one of the favorite movies. And what do you make, of this? Do you feel validated? It's fine. It's finally found its like recognition in the years since then.
yeah, no, I think I haven't really spoken to anybody about it for years.
Okay.
I didn't realize it was still very popular. I had no idea.
Very much
But
so. Very popular.
yeah, I still have people ask me about it, but not many. I mean, you're the first one
Okay.
in years.
Okay.
What,
Well, I just wanted you to know that, it's like very much beloved.
yeah, if it ever comes on television, I do watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really solid.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I know you did not work on The Postman, which was Kevin's second directorial effort, but um, I was wondering if you had like been approached to do it initially, or
Yes.
okay, but
Yeah,
another
obviously, I was off doing something else, but Kevin asked my advice on who he should get to shoot it.
you got
Should it be an
another.
experienced veteran Hollywood cameraman or something? I said, well, the guy that shot my film and a good friend, Australian friend, Steve Winden,
Yeah.
is a good DP. I think you should meet him. Can I see what he's done? I said, yes. So I screened a little bit of the film I had, here we go, directed called Firestorm. I'll never direct again, by the way. But it had a great opening in it, a great opening sequence that Steve had shot and I'd put together. And we screened it for Kevin, and he liked it very much. And then he hired Steve.
Yeah.
Steve took over my whole crew, including my Italian focus puller. You're not Italian, but Italian background, Tony Rivetti.
Okay.
Tony is he's still a true Italian. He's got a big family. He eats a lot of Italian food, Italian wine. He's been with me for 30 or 40 movies as the first assistant. And he'd been with me prior to that. He was with me on Waterworld, but Steve took him over and took my entire crew over, and also included a little girl called Ingrid Semler, my daughter, who was her first job as a loader.
Camera loader, right?
Movie, yeah. My friend at Panavision, Bob Harvey, had said, because Ingrid had run into trouble in Australia, the lab she worked at had closed down. She had nothing to do. Bob Harvey at Panavision in Woodland Hills said, get her ass over here and I'll train her and give her a job. So he did, and she worked with Stevie Winden and Tony on that and many other movies, right up till the last one, which we did together, was the Alamo, and
Oh,
then
The
she,
Alamo. Wow, wonderful movie.
yeah. So that
Uh,
was
yeah, that's how it came about. That Steven got the job as cinematographer on Postman.
that's right, yeah. And then Steve went on to do all of the Fast and Furious series.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I read that he did all that too. It's just wow. The last movie that you worked with Kevin on or collaborated with him on was Dragonfly, directed by Tom Shadyac. And what
Yeah.
was like what was Shadyak's hoping to achieve visually with that story? What did he ask?
Well, I'd worked with Tom on Bruce Almighty with Jim Carrey, and we hit it off. He liked me, and he wanted me to shoot this. Um, but what was different in this one with Kevin was that he wasn't a Native American, soldier or whatever. He wasn't the Waterworld guy with gills.
Yes, yeah,
He was a straight up and down contemporary
character.
man. And
Yeah.
to me, Pietro, he was like my Gary Cooper, my Gary Grant. He was a classic, fabulous, handsome leading man, and that's what he was in Dragonfly. And very powerful performance, very emotional performance, very sad in a lot of the way.
Yeah.
Um, Tom Shadyac just wanted it to be special. He wanted it to look good. I had an opportunity to do lots of different lighting, with a spooky film like that, some different moves. We could have gone further,
Hmm.
but Kevin was wonderful just to watch him through the lens. He was a true leading man. He was powerful. He was wonderful. And that's where we bought the Yanomami. You know that story about the Yanomami?
No, like the tribe at the end of the movie.
Uh, Tom Shadyac? Yeah. Tom was Tom, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Tom. Yeah.
Yeah. He wanted to shoot the end of the movie in Venezuela,
Okay.
in a village there. And Brubaker, the producer, said, "No, you're not going to go to Venezuela." He said, let's go and have a look. So they sent a location guy down there. He went to Caracas,
Yeah.
and scouted the area and came back saying it was no good. It wasn't safe. The water was there. It was dangerous. There had no accommodation, nothing. So Brubaker said to Jim, "Well, look," and said to Tom, "Well, look, that's it then. We'll build a village in Hawaii, and we can use all the local extras, the Hawaiians, the Filipinos, the Japanese, as Yanomami." And Tom said, "No, I can't get the village. I can't get to Venezuela. I want to shoot the real Yanomami."
Hmm.
Brubaker, oh shit. Okay, so they had to find a village in Caracas, find a group, a tribe, and fly them to Houston, then fly them to Kuwait. These people had never been out of the village. They'd never seen television. They never had telephones.
Wow.
The dirt floor, and they were just wonderful. They were wonderful film, and God, they looked so good. Their traditional costumes, their hair, their makeup, their bones. It was really, really well worth it. And Brubaker won, and on one hand, and Tom Shadyac won on the other, and it was like a wonderful village they built. And I've got a picture of them too. I'll send you. But Kevin was good. He was just. There's one scene in there where he was talking to the little girl who was dying, one of the girls with cancer,
Yeah.
and he was sitting on the side of the bed, and we had a long, slow dolly that had to run about 2 minutes. It was a long, long scene, and it was very emotional what they were saying. I mean, we were standing back with lumps in our throat listening. And McGrip, a big guy on the dolly called Moose, was pushing the dolly, and he had marks. He knew exactly where he had to be at what time. He had a script in front of him. He knew exactly when he had to stop. And I looked at him during the shot, and he had a tear running down his eye. And I
Oh,
thought, oh, yay, yay, yay. So I cut the shot, and I said, "Moose, that was wonderful. I see you had a tear." He said, "No, it has nothing to do with the movie." He said, "Mate, they were just an hour and a half late for lunch. That's all." Come on.
But yeah, wow, that's hard to really cut the tension and to break the tension with a joke.
How what?
To break the tension with a joke.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I, I love that.
It was
Um, but at the end of the movie with the tribe, it was kind of a dancer's throwback, with him, meeting the tribe. It's like Dunbar, like this white guy. Uh,
uh, I'd never thought of that. Okay.
but it's kind of like that, it's kind of a, you know,
It almost is when he comes in and shows them the photograph,
yeah, yeah, with like
surrounded by them.
exactly with like yeah, that's what I thought when I first saw the movie. Like, oh well, this like kind of a nod to Dances with
Yeah.
Wolves.
No, I'd never thought of that, Pietro.
Well,
But you're
I
right.
don't know. I don't know if it makes sense. It does to me, but I've always wondered if have you and Kevin tried to work together again since Dragonfly? Have there,
No,
were there other projects that you almost collaborated on?
no, no. He moved on.
Okay,
He moved on then, and that was our last film.
okay.
He moved on. I moved on. So
What do you think is his greatest strength as a filmmaker?
he's a wonderful storyteller. He's a wonderful director. And he's very honest with
Hmm.
everything. He has an honesty about him that's, there's no bullshit with Kevin. He calls a spade. That's it. And he's got a great eye for performance. He knows how to get performance out of actors. He did the same on Waterworld a bit. Some of those weren't experienced, but he knows what this does. He knows what the face does and how to get it.
Oh, nice,
He's kind. He's understanding. He's very generous with his knowledge that he shares, his acting knowledge, his directing knowledge.
nice.
And he's a good man, basically. He's a good man.
So you reunited with Mel Gibson on We Were Soldiers after the Mad
Yes,
Max,
I did. Yes. Oh boy, I forgot
scene,
about Mel. Yeah.
which was written and directed by Randall Wallace, who had written Braveheart, which Mel had wanted you to photograph.
Yes.
Coming full circle. What was it like being reunited with Mel Gibson on that film, and what kind of visual style was
That
Randall
was
Wallace looking for?
wonderful. Can I just go back to Braveheart for a second?
For sure, yeah. Go ahead.
It relates to Waterworld
Yeah.
because we knew the crew that was my crew knew the crew that was shooting Braveheart, the English crew. We'd worked together,
Oh wow.
and we didn't have emails and stuff, but they would send us Polaroids of themselves in the freezing rain and cold and mud
Scotland,
in Scotland. It was horrible. They were unhappy with that. It was difficult.
miserable
And we'd send them Polaroids back of us,
from Hawaii.
guys with the girls rubbing sun cream in their back in the water. It was beautiful. John Toll got the Academy Award for cinematography, and we
Unbelievable.
did. That ha ha ha. Good for them. Working
Yeah.
with Mel on We Were Soldiers for the first time I'd seen him since
The Mad
Thunderdome.
Maxes. Yeah. Thunderdome, yeah.
And he walked on and said, "G'day, mate." He said, "Nothing's changed, really, has it?" But to see him in that role with Colonel Moore, playing Colonel Moore, he was tough and was very emotional, very hard for him. Uh, I don't know what to say here. I know that there's a scene with him and Barry Pepper at the very end. Barry, who played the journalist,
Mm.
and this is a moment I'll remember out of all my movies. Was when Barry Pepper says to Mel, "The battle is over. And by the way, the flag that's put in there, the little American flag in that burnt stump, that was my daughter, Ingrid.
Oh, really?
She played one of the journalists. She put that in there, yeah. And just after that,
Nice.
Barry Pepper says to Mel, I don't know how to tell this story. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to write. And Mel says, and this is Mel as emotional as I've ever seen him, says, you have to tell the story, son. You have to tell it. You have to tell them why my troops died and I didn't. And then Mel walks away, and we're on his back, and you can see him crying from behind. You can see him. And that was, boy, that was a huge moment for me to see him doing that.
Wow.
I knew he was going to play that scene that day, and you don't mess around. You just stay away and let them stay in character for that. Barry was wonderful too, Barry Pepper.
Well, yeah, that's a real powerful movie, honestly.
Yeah, and good old Sam Elliott, of course. He was a wonderful actor.
Yeah, he's wonderful. Yeah.
And it
Uh,
was good working with Randy too. That's my first film with Randy, I think. Yeah.
and the second would be Secretariat, right?
Secretariat.
Wonderful movie as well that you did.
Yeah, it's the lovely Diane Lane and Malkovich. And
Lovely.
then Heaven is for Real,
Oh yeah,
with Randy directed as well with Greg Kinnear and
yeah.
Kelly Riley, etc. Yeah.
You and Mel finally worked together as director and cinematographer on Apocalypto,
Yes.
which took you into the world of pre-Columbian civilizations.
Yes.
Uh, that must have been incredibly challenging. I mean, I can't imagine. How did you and Mel find the film's visual language?
Um, that came to me. Mel came to me, said, "Do you know anything about digital cinematography?" And I said, "I've done some initial, very simple tests with Panavision's new Genesis camera, which is the first full frame 35mm digital camera out there. We can go and have a look at the tests they've done and see what you think." So we went out there and they showed us a test of film that Alan Davio had shot of the Genesis versus film, side by side, same lens, same lighting, exactly the same everything. They had the digital converted to film, and they intercut, mixed it, and we had to sit there and tell, is that digital? Is that?
That film, that's digital.
And it was hard to tell sometimes. So Mel said, "Yeah, good. We'll shoot digital." He was very much for trying stuff. So he told me the story, and then his film was pushed a few months, and Adam Sandler's mob came up with Click,
Oh,
the
yeah.
comedy, and we decided to shoot that digitally because that was with Sony. Sony were also in partnership with Panavision with that new camera, the Genesis. So
Okay.
that was a break-in. That was a break-in period for us. And by the time we got got to the end of Click, we moved to Apocalypto, and I can now put that, very familiar with that camera. We could put it into orbit and do what we like with it. I went on a scout with Mel. We flew in his plane to Venezuela and went around to the governor gave us his helicopter. We looked around, found locations, and Mel told me as much about the story as he could. I'd read the script at this. No, I hadn't read the script at this stage. And I don't know. We came to shoot it, and he was once again very powerful, very wonderful director. And what was good about that movie was that we were away. We were in the jungles of Mexico for 8 months.
8 months.
8 months, yes.
Wow.
And there was only one man in charge, and that was Mel. There was a producer on the set, but he was more like a production manager. Well, he was a production manager. There were no studio people on the set. Farhad Safinia was the writer. He was with Mel and a co-producer. Nobody else. Mel was the one man. He was the leader. He was, the captain of the ship. And he was fabulous. I mean, he was a wonderful director, once again giving an enormous amount of his experience and energy into teaching these non-actors how to act. I mean, he showed the young woman how to have a baby. Can you believe that? The director said, "This is what you know." And what was different about it was that because we're on the Genesis, we could now run for 40 or 50 minutes without cutting, whereas on film it's 10 minutes. And we'd run 3 cameras at once on a scene, but we wouldn't cut. Say it was her or one of the guys doing something at a table. Mel would go in without cutting. He'd go in and he'd change. He'd talk to them, talk to them. He'd come back and we'd keep rolling. So I didn't go in. The props didn't go in. The makeup, hair people didn't go in. We just left them be for Mel, and Mel would go in and teach them and train them and talk to them and get the performance he wanted out of it. 8 months in the jungle was the same jungle that Medicine Man had been shot in with
Oh,
Sean Connery.
yeah.
Exactly the same 50 acres.
Wow.
I reckon because of the genesis, because of digital, I got an extra 2 hours every day shooting because it was a canopy at dark. It gets dark in the afternoon. I reckon I got an extra 2 hours. I ran Don McAlpine, the Aussie cameraman who'd shot Medicine Man in there. And I said, Macca, he's an old friend. I said, Macca, what did you do when you ran out of light? You couldn't, did you light it up? What did you do? I reckon I got 2 extra hours shooting every day. And he said, good for you, mate. He said, when it got too dark, we went back to the bloody pub. I
Love
came
it.
back.
Love
But
it.
now I looked at jungles in Costa Rica and other places and found this one to be the safest. It
Okay.
was flat, it was easy, it was accessible. He was concerned about snakes and spiders and stuff. Well, we had snakes and spiders and stuff. I think they got 50 or 60 pit vipers. I'll show you a picture.
Wow.
I'll send you a picture of that. Only one person was bitten by a pit viper. That was one of the construction guys. Got
Um,
back to his hotel and opened his gadget bag, and a snake was in there. But
wow.
other than that, Mel was terrific with the actors every day. I think full marks go to Tom Sanders for that, the construction designer. Sorry, the production designer, who had worked with Mel on Braveheart and lots of other things. He's sort of a legendary production designer. He was just wonderful. In fact, you see him on the boat coming in, one of the ships coming in at the end. He's standing up there. That's Mel. That's Tom Sanders.
Wow.
But he did an extraordinary job building that set, building the village, building the temples.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a wonderful film. It's just really
Truly,
amazing.
it's my favorite. My favorite used to be Road Warrior, Mad Max. Then it was Dances with Wolves.
And now it's Apocalypto.
Totally, totally. Not only for the look, the end result, but for the experience. It
Okay.
was fabulous every day, every single day. Every day was rewarding and satisfying. We didn't break for lunch for 8 months. They were
Wow.
trying to get everybody back and into cars and vans and make up and back. So we just kept shooting.
Incredible.
Uh, it rained a lot. We lost a bit of time because of people being sick here and there. Um, what else? What else? The temple that the scene takes place with all the beheading and the taking the heart out and stuff. We couldn't shoot on top of that. It was 55 feet in the air. It was too dangerous. We couldn't get all the people up there. We could go up there and shoot from it, looking down, but
Yeah.
we couldn't go up there with the crew, with the actors. So a smaller set was built about 10 feet off the ground, and we shot it all there, and you wouldn't know the difference. The eclipse came, and how are we going to shoot an eclipse? We knew a certain amount would have to be done in post production digitally. And I came up with a thought that maybe we could create our own eclipse in closer work with the actors, for the beheading and all that stuff. So I had the grips flew. I'm sending you a picture. A whole lot of massive frames out to take the sun out, to take the ambience out. And I had a Musco light brought in from America that traveled down with a Mexican army escort,
Wow.
traveled all the way down. and we had this thing spotted up onto the center of the stage. So it was our sunlight. The grips had built a frame across it on another condor on a sliding arm that slid across the light. So Mel would say, the action, action, action. Okay, the eclipse starts now. This thing would slide across and get darker and darker and darker. Play the scene, play the scene, play the scene. And that worked very well for close work.
Beautiful.
It's interesting, we only had 700, I think, extras. We could never have any more because of the amount of time and makeup and hair and wardrobe.
Take, right.
The makeup and hair people and wardrobe people sometimes would start at 1 o'clock in the morning to have 700 people ready by 11 o'clock to ready to shoot.
Wow.
With all the attachments and the makeup, the hair and the nose. We had, I think, 200 people, 200 makeup, hair, wardrobe people at some stage. So that by 11 o'clock, we had 700 people. When you see the shots, there's not 700, there's 7,000 people down there. Mel didn't want them digitally, he wanted them real. So we rehearsed on a weekend. We rehearsed with the 700 people. They were just in ordinary clothes. And we gave them positions in the square. And they'd all be in one position here. And we'd say, della, and the action, the thing, and the eclipse, and close. Cut, okay. Position numero dos. And they go, they'd go to the next spot. And we'd repeat that 7 or 8 times. And then visually they'd be stitched together later on. That's how we did that. But and the cenote, the hole in the ground, we couldn't go deep in the village because there was a water level about 8 feet, 10 feet down. So we could only go down 8 feet. So anything looking deeper or anything down low looking up, we couldn't shoot there. We looked at locations at buildings in Veracruz that would be big enough, have to be 50 feet, to have the cenote built. We couldn't find one. So my rigging grip, Kim Heath, who's a master, built a studio out of shipping containers. I'll send you a picture of that. And it's like, I think it was about 40 feet or something high. And we built the cenote in there. And they had a skylight floating overhead, a frame with an image of the trees, the image of the forest. So it was like a trance light we could look up into. We could look down, we could look up, we could look around a little bit. And then it was, the bottom was removable, and a waterproof bottom was put in for the end scenes. I'll send you a picture of that.
Okay.
Of me in the water. And we filmed that whole thing. And that's where we ended. And I remember Mel saying it's a wrap, finally after 8 months. And I said to Mel, look, if you want to start again, do it all again next Monday. I'll be there with you, and I'm sure my crew will join you as well. It was that pleasant.
Wow.
It was so damn good. I was actually nominated. The American Society of Cinematographers nominated me for their award that year, which was the first time ever that all the pure film people, film cameramen, had nominated a digital film. So that was very special.
Yeah.
I didn't win, but it was just...
It was special.
We were starting, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was just a great experience. It was a wonderful experience.
Wonderful.
I'm very proud of the work I did. The
movie looks wonderful.
yeah, and all that stuff with the Jaguar running.
Yeah.
Send you an image, another image of the Jaguar chasing Jaguar.
Yeah. It's chasing the guy.
Yeah. And what we had was the Jaguar had a very thick leather collar. It was a real cat, a real thick leather collar with a cable running up to a cable that ran 150 yards, about 20 feet up above, tightly between 2 big trees in the jungle. His cage was down that end with his, whatever he was, his food. The cable ran all the way from his cable. There was a brake system on it that the stunt guys had. action was called Rudy Would Start His Run, pretty close. Then the Jaguar was released, and it would chase him, it would chase him, it would chase him, it would chase him. And it got to within, I suppose, about 20 feet. It got pretty close. And then it would run off to a little place where there was a whole pile of food waiting for it.
Oh, nice.
Like nice fresh meat or a rabbit or something. And it would chew away happily. So that's how we did it. And then this was all removed digitally later on.
Wow, wonderful. Wow,
Yeah.
all the movie tricks.
But he was, and all of the actors, experienced or unexperienced, ran through that jungle at speed, top speed, flying through the jungle on so many days doing it. The Mexican greens people were brilliant, and they would go in, we'd do a rehearsal with Mel, get rid of the snakes. We'd do a rehearsal with Mel, plotting the path. The Mexican guys would come in and they would clear that path of any rocks, roots, stones, lumps, anything, so the actors could run without even thinking about where their feet were. They could fly through there, and they do it every time. They're wonderful, these guys.
Yeah. And they were basically non-actors, right?
A lot of non-actors,
A
yeah.
lot of non-actors.
The
Wow.
little girl who played the soothsayer,
Yeah.
the little girl, she was from a Mayan village in the Yucatan, and she didn't speak English, she didn't speak Spanish, she only spoke Mayan.
Wow.
Her home was a dirt floor. She'd obviously never seen anything like this before. I don't think she'd seen television or didn't have a telephone. And she was brought in. Mel liked the look of her because she wasn't just a pretty little girl. There's something about that face that was deeper than that. And she was perfectly cast.
Yeah.
I think I saw Mel at his best as a director,
On that.
getting a performance out of that little girl, because he would say, okay, now I want you to look up and see the guy over here walking, and then you say, I think the sun will come, dell'A. And he'd have to get that performance out of her. In English, it would go to Spanish, it would go to Mayan to her, and she would have to try and get it right. So he worked so hard and gently, kindly and strongly with her until he got the performance over a couple of days.
Wow.
And he got it, and she was truly a memorable little moment in that film. She's scary.
Wow. Wonderful. Obviously you've been doing this for like forever. You've been doing this forever. And after such a long career, do you miss the era of when films were like more physical, like real locations, real weather, compared to how much can be controlled or created now?
I don't get the question, sorry.
No,
Sorry.
no, it's all right. After doing, after such a long career, do you miss the era when films were more physical, like real locations, real weather, real crowds, compared to how much can be controlled or created now?
Oh, don't start me on that, I tell you. I hated it when green screen and blue screen started to come in. I mean, I didn't hate it, but it was just something we had to live with. I don't know how the actors did it, standing in front of a green screen, pretending they're on the edge of a waterfall or a forest or something. But that was the reality of being unreal. It was like, and now with digital camera, I mean, I did a lot digitally, but it wasn't really. There was still like a film camera. It was
Yeah,
a big Genesis camera, and I did some of the Alexa, the smaller cameras. But now the cameras are like
yeah,
tiny, tiny little things. Um, and there are now drones, and there are tiny little camera rigs that anyone can use, like a little Nikon or a Canon camera, can make a movie.
yeah. Anybody can.
There's one that I saw one online the other day. Someone had connected an iPhone with a Panavision lens. An iPhone with a Panavision lens. So that's sort
Unthinkable.
of scary to me. The
Hmm.
crews are much. The crews are different now. They're young. They're digital crews. A lot of the older cameramen are still working, obviously, and have converted. Some are still shooting films here and there. But the younger, the newer rather, the newer cinematographers are very lucky. They should understand film, but probably none of them have ever shot film.
Mm.
Could ever understand what it does and where it stops and where it ends. They're shooting. They don't have to worry about any dailies. They can sit on a stage in a theatre or an exterior, whatever, and
Mm.
look at a huge screen which shows them exactly what their image is going to look like. And now they tend to be taking stuff much darker than we would have risked on film.
Oh yeah.
I would
That's
never, some of the stuff I say, I think, shit, I would never have done that. I've never been game enough to do that on film. And they can wind it down, they make it as blue as you like, as red as you like, as cold as you like.
like
Uh,
a whole different ball game, right?
what's that?
It's a whole different ball game now.
Totally, totally, totally. And they're shooting some wonderful stuff, don't get me wrong, but they don't have to have really learnt much. They have a digital technician who does all the dots and things, but then they can just go and shoot. Producers say you can just shoot without light anymore. Well, that's not true. You know, there's ways to light people, actors. Kevin has to be lit a certain way, make him look thinner, fatter, older, younger. That's what cinematographers did. Um, there are gaffers now who are carrying around a small amount of lights because they're LEDs. Plug them into the house, light a room, hit a practical light on in the corner. That's all you need. And it's totally different. I look at stuff and I think, oh, I know they've got a little tiny little light on the floor over there. That's all they've got.
But
Whereas,
as a viewer, as a film lover, as somebody who grew up on movies, watching movies, I have to say that movies used to look much better, honestly.
I
Look,
agree.
they look fake now. They all look the same. They all look like very watered down. I don't know the tech terms, but they all look like there's no character in how they look anymore. I don't. This is how I feel.
I love you for what you just said. They
Okay.
look they look watered down. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah. Just
And now, of course, I've got volume shooting. You know about volume shooting, where you've got a whole studio of LED panels
yeah.
surrounded by panel. Now that apparently that's old fashioned there now. They don't even need
Oh.
that.
Okay.
They put a grey thing up behind it, and everything's created automatically in post without moving anything. I don't know how actors do it. I don't. But you're right. It's very different. I don't want to shoot anymore. I'd, I'd go back to shooting documentaries in New Guinea. I don't
Yeah,
want
that
to do.
would yeah, I mean that would be much more interesting now than features, honestly. Because
Yeah,
features just look so they all look the same and they have this patina, like kind of like this there's just no character in them. No character. That's to
yeah. I
how they
think
used to look in the 90s or the 80s or the 70s. It's
yeah,
just there was an earthiness, there was a realness to it was a
you're
tangible
right.
feeling, while you were watching a movie. It's not there. I don't feel it's there anymore.
You know what it was? Directors were directors, actors were actors, cameramen were cameramen.
Yeah, perfectly said. Yeah. Yes,
I
absolutely.
agree wholeheartedly. I watch a lot of moves. I was lucky, Pietro. I was lucky to have made movies the period in time that I did between the 70s and the end of the 90s, early 2000s. That period of time
Yeah,
was the best, I think, the absolute best.
absolutely. Now it's one in 100, 1,000. I don't know.
There's still some good ones out there.
No,
I'm
there
not.
are, yeah, for sure. But I don't know. Mostly, you see, they all look the same. They all look, they lack the realness, the tangible feeling, the earthiness. I feel.
Yeah. I
So
was
what?
shooting Ed Harris when I did
Appaloosa.
Appaloosa. When I did that, I met with him and I'd been shooting digital. And the first thing he said was, "Do you want to shoot this digital, or could you shoot it on film?" I said, "Ed, I'd love to shoot it on film if you want." He shook my hand. He said he loved that. So in learning that, it was wonderful to be shooting film again. But we're in Santa Fe. The film had to be traveled, had to go through airports, had to be x-rayed, had to go to the lab, had to be processed. We had to get a report from
Yeah,
somebody who didn't really know. They'd say, "Well, you're a little bit soft here, or the exposure or something." We'd have to wait for 2 days to get it back. Sometimes it was affected by radiation. All those things you forget. But it was still good shooting film. And Angelina wanted me to shoot film on her film in the land of blood and honey, so we did. And I just love shooting film again. It's funny, when I started shooting film with Ed, I got calls from production managers and producers saying, "What's wrong with the Genesis? Why aren't you shooting digital anymore?"
why are you shooting film again?
There you are.
When younger filmmakers ask you for advice, like what do you tell them that goes beyond just lenses and lighting?
Well, I think they have endless opportunities now to make little films themselves, or make with their iPhone. Go out and tell a little story. Look at the light, look at the framing, look at the imaging, look at the face. Watch movies without sound. Turn the sound off and watch the images. Watch the way they might tell the story. Watch where they take you. Watch the colors. Watch the light. Watch it again without sound. Maybe you learn something from that. Make your own. You can do it now. Make your own. Put it on the computer.
Yeah,
Add some sound to it, and keep knocking on doors. Try and get work maybe as an intern. You won't get straight in to be a cinematographer. You have to, maybe you can be an intern, be an assistant, go down, start down the bottom, get the coffee and sweep the floor, but take it all in while you're there.
gotta start somewhere.
And there are courses available, but they cost a bit of money to do a filmmaking course or a cinematography. I don't think there's cinematography courses.
But if you
Ted,
if you
whatever.
if you can get yourself on set, I mean that's gonna be the best learning that you can get, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
You learn
Try.
by learn by doing, learn by watching and absorbing.
Yeah, I know. There's a film school in Australia, and some of the students that came out of that were really shocked when they could see on a set what really goes on, the pressures, the differences between doing that and doing a learning film, being taught by a teacher how to put the camera. By being on the set, to see the way everybody acted, the way everybody felt, the way everybody interreacted was something they can't learn. They have to experience, and that's why going on a set is the best thing if they get the chance.
Oh yeah,
Now
best.
you can go, now you can go onto a set, and this really, there's so many people. I've worked with crews now who are still working who say, "Well, we had 3 people on our set who were doing COVID watch. That's an extra 3 people.
Hmm.
We had people who were doing security for the COVID people. We had people who are doing intimate relationships with people.
Oh yeah,
Have a love scene or a hugging scene or a kissing
there's
scene.
gotta be somebody to
Somebody
make
has to
sure.
tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
Teach you how to kiss somebody, teach you how to hold somebody. There's another 2 or 3 people sometimes on a set. Then there's this whole volume shooting where there is no set, it's just a grey background. Hey, I'm happy doing my little sketches.
Your little doodles.
My
Uh,
little doodle.
just one last question, Dean, and I'll let you go because I've already taken up so much of your time. If you could go back and speak to the young Dean Semler growing up in Renmark, Australia, before all the films, before Hollywood, before the Oscar, what would you tell him?
What a silly question. Boy, I don't know. What would I tell him? What would I tell him with the knowledge I now have?
Yeah, yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
I'd tell him the sky's the limit. Go for it. If you get an opportunity. I'm actually mentoring a young girl out of Renmark who's only 18, 19. She's at university now, but
Wow.
she's making her own little movie. She bought a little crane and she got in touch with me. I've introduced her to the ACS down there, the Australian Cinematographer Society. She's made a little film because they named a building after me at the Renmark High School, the Arts Centre. And I wasn't able to be there because I'm on a walker and I can't fly. Anyway, no, enough of that. But she made a film of the presentation, cut it together, put music together, sent it to me. She shoots stuff. And I'm mentoring her, and that's my advice to her is just keep going, and she is. She's now gone to university, she's studying film there, she's still shooting stuff on weekends with friends. She'll go out and shoot a wedding just for the hell of it, but it's not like a regular wedding. She'll do coverage and wides and overs, and she knows how to make films, and she's only a kid.
Wow.
And I think if everyone did that, if young kids who were keen wanted to do that, it's a big industry now with so many studios with Amazon and Netflix and
Yeah.
you name it. There's plenty of opportunities out there. There are hundreds of film, well, I think, dozens of films being shot in Australia now because of tax incentive. Places like Perth in Western Australia, way out the other side of Australia, have just built, I think, $200 or $300 million worth of studio there to
Wow.
attract. They've got two films going there already. There's nobody in Perth who shot films, so there are opportunities for people there, as in Melbourne, as up in Queensland. Lots of films made in Queensland. Kevin's just come back from Queensland
Yeah, you shot a movie.
with
Yeah.
Harry's honeymoon or something.
Honeymoon with Harry. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's films always being shot up there. Baz Luhrmann is about to shoot Joan of Arc up there, uh,
Wow.
which will be a major, his next major one after Elvis.
After Elvis, yeah.
And Tom Hanks has just finished a film over there. So there's lots of stuff going on as well as the usual television work over there. So there are opportunities out there. Just, follow your dreams, I guess.
Yeah. That's a beautiful message. And just want to let you know that I really was moved by when I saw a little documentary on you when you got all those letters from those kids and you went and visited them
Yeah,
and you spent the day with them.
yeah.
It was really wonderful.
That was one of the best few days of my life down there. Going back there after that was 13 years ago now. All those kids are probably grown up and married,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think I put in today or yesterday one of the teachers who invited me down there with him holding the Oscar and stuff. But that was very special. Those kids were. I was up in Winnipeg shooting Heaven is for Real with
Yeah.
Randy.
Really was.
Happy, I was miserable. I was overweight. I was just unhappy at the time. Miserable. I was depressed, and you go through periods.
Yeah.
Uh, and all of a sudden, I got this FedEx package with 22 letters in it, and I read them, and it was very emotional reading from these little kids. And I thought, goodness me, from my little hometown, these kids want me to come down. Look at that. There's so and so. So I answered them back straight away. I wrote 22 letters back to every one of them, thinking, well, I'll come down one day. A month later, I get another 22 letters from them saying, well, I love chewing gum and my dog's name is Robert and I think this is that and my favourite footy team and I love the AFL and I think the Saints are going to win. And my dad works in Woolworths and I thought, wow, another 22 of them. We have to go down. Anne said, my wife said, you have to go down there. So we did. And boy, it was special. It
Really.
was really, really special, those kids. And I don't think any of them will ever become cinematographers, but
I think you made some great. I mean, the memories you left them with, I think
yeah,
they'll carry forever.
there was one little girl, I think she was Pakistani or Indian, when she was interviewed later, she said, I could be a cinematographer, but I think I'd rather be a doctor.
Um, Dean, just one very last question. Sorry, I just keep saying that, but this is the truth. Very last one. If you had to pick one is there an image you shot that you feel contains something essential about who you are?
Oh, that's a curly question, that one. And I'm expected to answer it right now. Oh boy.
Take your
One,
time.
one image.
That you shot that says, well, this is who I am, or says something about who you are.
Boy, there are lots of them, I tell you. There are lots of them. I'm trying to think back of what I might
Could
have
be more
shot.
than one.
Yeah. There's one which might just seem odd. It's the one that comes to mind. And there are, maybe it's not the one, but it was when we were shooting A Power of One in Zimbabwe. And there's a shot with Arnon Mullerstahl, the actor, the German actor, and I think the young kid, the young boy, on the edge of a cliff or the edge of a hill somewhere, and there's a moon setting behind them. I think it's that one. I remember that.
Nice.
I think. Oh, there'll be many more. Many more.
Yeah. Now I'm sure you've had
Now
such
you got me
a.
thinking, you bugger. Now you got me thinking.
I got you thinking. Well, you've had such a storied career. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Um, I've we've been going for like almost 2 hours, and I
Oh, really?
can almost.
Well,
I can't thank you enough for taking the time and for being so generous and kind to me. Uh,
no, I'm okay, mate. If you want to keep going, I've got nothing going on here. If you got
ho-
more to.
ho- hopefully, my accent didn't throw you off.
No, I was standing by my neighbour next door as Italian.
Oh, okay.
Is an older lady, and I was going to call her if I couldn't understand her, but your English was wonderful.
Okay.
Like I
Thank you. Coming from a native speaker, I mean, like, it's high praise.
say, as long as my Australian accent's not too much for you.
No, it's all right. No, no, I'm fine. I'm really fine. Dean, I'll be keeping in touch because I just like you as a person. Uh, I like you as a cinematographer, a creative, but I just like you as a person. So I'll be keeping in touch if you don't
I hope
mind.
so. Thank you. Yeah,
If you
I'm
don't
going to try
mind.
and think of other images for you too, because that's a,
You like the question. You
I
like
love
that?
that question, but I want to find the right answer.
Okay.
It's one that came to. I don't know why it came out of the blue. It just came to me, but
There must be a reason why it came to you when it did.
I don't know.
Must
Just
be
I'm
must be
sitting
a
there one afternoon, people's silhouette, and it's not a silhouette. It's just a. Anyway, you'll see it.
yeah.
I'll try and get it for you. If I can find it, I might photograph it and send it to you.
Thank you so
I
much,
have a
Dean.
lot of images. Can I send them to you?
You, of course, you can send me anything you want. I'll be watching with interest, with utmost interest,
You put a
Uh,
few up there already, so I'll try not to repeat those. All right. That's my next job to do that.
thank you so much. And please, what's that?
It's been my absolute pleasure. I love talking to you. Thank you.